Hello and welcome to HT's weekly talk show, The Interview. The fear of a bulldozer running her over did not stop her. Armed with a Supreme Court order, she did what it took to block the dreaded machine from razing homes of the poor in Delhi's Jahangirpuri. But this is not her first to correct a wrong. Years ago, she took on Air India and forced it to withdraw the mini skirt rule. Meet Brinda Karat, CPM's firebrand leader, who has emerged as the voice of the voiceless in this edition of HT's weekly talk show, The Interview. Welcome to the show, Brinda, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Konko.
Let me begin by asking you, the dust has settled, but is the war over or has it just begun? And I ask this in the context of the recent incidents in Jahangirpuri in North Delhi.
I think the people of Jahangirpuri have got some relief because of the intervention of the Supreme Court. It is temporary in the sense that in the next 12 days or 2 weeks, the court will have a hearing to decide about the legality or illegality of what happened that day on April the 20th. But I think your question goes beyond just the demolition of the houses of the poor very selectively, because when you talk about a war, let's define what we are actually talking about. Because in my mind, Kumkum, if I may say so, the bulldozer right now is not just a machine. It represents an ideology. It represents a political strategy of the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Sangh Parivar.
Let me quote what you said about bulldozers. Bulldozer politics is not about use of a machine, but representative of a political ideology and strategy of Hindutva, unquote. Would you elaborate? And you also linked this to the elections.
Firstly, why do I say it's not a machine? Because this happens not just in Jahangirpuri, selectively in the C block where the main population happens to be Muslim, but it happened in Khargon, it happened in other places of Madhya Pradesh, and it also happened in Uttar Pradesh, selectively. So the first point is it is selective. The second point is the selection is based not on what is legal or illegal in the eyes of the law. The selection is based on which particular religion you believe in. So if I believe in Islam or if I am a Muslim, I am more likely to have my home demolished without a notice than someone else. The third aspect of this is that particularly I know the facts in Jahangirpuri. It happened on the command and the dictate of the BJP president Adesh Gupta, whose letter to the Delhi North Municipal Corporation very clearly states the houses to be demolished are the illegal encroachments of the quote-unquote rioters. So they decide who is a rioter. They decide that the structure is illegal and they order the bulldozer to go there, and the central government provides the police force. So taken together, this represents a very, very dangerous political strategy which challenges the law, it challenges the rule of law. And if I am a rioter, is there not a court to decide that I am a rioter? And if I'm to given punishment, is that not to be given by a court? Or is the party in power given the right to send a bulldozer to my house and just destroy my livelihood, destroy my life savings, and leave me destitute? That is the issue here.
Perhaps they linked this to the principle of collective punishment, where the clan of the offender is also punished. Pitch this against the clashes on Ram Navami. What would you say?
Do you really want to go into that? Because I'm willing to, because I have got a very detailed fact-finding committee report. The police were asked by organizers. So there were two sets of people who asked for permission in March, and they were granted permission. They were given a route. They started the procession. The processions went very peacefully in their own block, escorted by the police, and they dispersed around 3:30 or so. After an hour and a half or 2 hours, a group of people, around 100 or so, with blaring DJs, etc., which was totally illegal according to the police. They were fully armed, they had naked swords, and they had at least two identified as having pistols. And instead of going on the main road, they went through the gullies of C Block, which no other procession had done. And they timed their stop at the mosque at the exact same time as the fast was being broken, and people were gathering in the mosque for their prayers. So what was this? I asked the special CP.
What did he say?
He said, "Ma'am, if we had tried to stop it then, there would have been a lot of tension and there would have been incidents." So in other words, an armed illegal procession was allowed to go, stop before the mosque, and we have got recordings where it is shown the kind of, and witnesses, the kind of slogans they gave, that they were very provocative slogans, and they stopped outside the mosque deliberately. Now, what is that? Is that not a recipe for the implementation of a planned move, as happened, that you do something illegal and then you have the protection of the state and you have the protection of the law? Because who was arrested? It was those same people who were going to the mosque to pray and who were stopped because of this offensive, aggressive group of people who had no business being there in the first place. So I am for justice and I am for punishment of all those who are responsible for this. But why does Arvind Kejriwal use the same language as BJP, saying punish the stone-pelters? What about punishing those who had arms in their hands and who stopped before the mosque?
What about the principle of collective punishment, where the clan of the offender is punished? What would you say?
So I cannot agree with this whole narrative that this is punishing of a clan. Because if it is punishing of a clan, then those who represented the illegal procession are those who should be punished, quite frankly. I cannot look at things in a totally one-sided way and accept the narrative that, oh, we were just there doing Hanuman Chalisa and Hanuman Jayanti. What were you doing there? Did you take permission to do it? Were you allowed to carry swords? Were you allowed to carry a blaring DJ disrespecting those who were there to pray? I think it is highly offensive, Kumkum, and this is the political strategy. Let me tell you, Kumkum, I know that area. And you know it too. You remember during the emergency, when all the jugis were demolished, all these people were settled there. These were all people who came from Bengal, Midnapur, Dinajpur, some from 24 Parganas. They were living across, near the Jamuna. And along with thousands of others, they were bulldozers. And at that time, the emergency government of Indira Gandhi brought them, but at least they were resettled somewhere. And today they are being told that you are Rohingyas, you are Bangladeshis, you have no rights as Indian citizens. I think it is appalling. And at least the facts that we have, the evidence that we have, shows to a much, much deeper conspiracy of the Sangh Parivar to disrupt communal harmony, to target Muslims.
Talking of legality and illegality, like you said, isn't encroachment also illegal? And by that measure, then if encroachers are punished, how wrong is that?
If there is encroachment, and you have to first define the kind of encroachment there is and what the rights of the encroacher has. So, in most of these resettlement colonies, because of lack of livelihood, not only in C block, but all over every resettlement colony, especially because of lack of jobs also, people put up small shanties, they have their shops, and where they have pakka shops also. And they have been doing this as part of their livelihood. According to the Delhi Municipal Corporation Act, this is considered an encroachment. In some cases, they have to pay a fine and it is regularized. In some cases, they are given a notice. And if they do not answer the notice satisfactorily according to the law, the corporation has a right to demolish it. As far as street vending is concerned, registered street vendors have to be given notice. And according to the Supreme Court orders also, you cannot just go and break up the small carts of street vendors. So there is a legal framework. If you are going to do an anti-encroachment drive, do it according to the law. It was not done according to the law. वो सब कुछ खत्म हो गया एक बुलडोजर के चलते. कौन मुस्लिम, कौन हिंदू, कौन दलित, मतलब जितने भी वहां गरीब थे कुमकुम, everything is demolished. They just came and smashed everything.
So, what you're saying is that it was not only the Muslims, it was everyone. And
No.
if that is what you're saying, then the
No.
BJP targeting the Muslims doesn't hold.
No, what I'm saying is they targeted C block. I told you about Adesh Gupta's letter. That letter very clearly talks about rioters. So the targeting was in a particular area of C block where a large section of Muslims live. It was selected because it's Muslim.
Take me through that April afternoon when you stood in front of the bulldozer, risking your life. What were the thoughts that crossed your mind? Purely emotionally?
Kumkum, I tell you frankly, it was absolutely nothing like that. And there was neither any sentiment nor anything. I had gone there because we had already, through our lawyer, Sri Surendra Nathji, who happens to be the General Secretary of the All India Lawyers Union, he, along with all the other senior counsel who were there, Kapil Sibal, Dushyant Daveji, and others, they all made a special mention before the Supreme Court because it was in the public domain that this demolition drive was going to start. And the Supreme Court gave a status quo order. So we expected that once the order came at 10:50, obviously the bulldozer would stop. But when we reached there, it was an astounding sight. The bulldozer was continuing as though there's no Supreme Court of India. So we just rushed there and stopped the bulldozer because it was so patently illegal. In any case, what they were doing was illegal.
How did you actually stop the bulldozer? What did you do? And what went through your mind because it was a risk you were taking?
I mean, this is not the first time that we've stopped illegal eviction. Nah? I mean, there's a bulldozer, there police, and you don't think like that. It's not something new which has suddenly happened to me. I mean, 50 years we've been in struggle now. It had to be done. We didn't even think twice about it. So we just rushed there and just stood in front of the bulldozer. There was not a single senior official there, by the way. So that poor driver of the bulldozer, we had to argue with him. That poor man, he was totally bewildered as to what is happening. Suddenly this lady has come and these people have come and... But we stopped it.
Why are you and not your party in the forefront? In fact, this is more Brinda's agitation than the CPM's. Where were the men, especially the stalwarts?
It is our intervention that Surendra Nathji, the General Secretary of the All India Lawyers Union, went to the court along with others. I'm not saying there were others also there. He was there. That is an initiative of the party. When we had already got the facts of the fact-finding team. That is an initiative of the party. We were already going there. That is an initiative of the party.
But stopping the bulldozer was perhaps a solo act.
Not at all. Certainly not. There were many comrades with me, many comrades.
Yes, but
and frankly, it's only because of my party, because we are communists, Kumkum, whatever people may think about us, where there is injustice and exploitation of the poor, we are there. People know that because they've asked, how come only CPM was there? That's what you have to ask other parties. Not how come only Brinda was there. Brinda is no one. Brinda is with her CPIM comrades.
But the face of this agitation is Brinda.
It hardly matters, Kumkum. Right now in Jharkhand, right now in Chhattisgarh, our comrades are there to stop illegal eviction of Adivasis.
Talking of the BJP and its politics and the strategy, what would you say about hijab, halal, azan, and Hanuman Chalisa? Where are we headed?
They are not wearing total head-to-toe burqas. They may wear that on the road, but in the institution, they are wearing a headscarf. Like a Sikh boy will wear a pagri. Does anybody say, take off your pagri? So why should a girl not wear a headscarf? In Punjab, Kumkum, you know Punjab very well. In the villages of Punjab, so many girls in class 11 and 12, they cover their heads with a dupatta. What's the big deal about it? Yes, I agree, uniform. I'm fully for a uniform because it does, stop more elite students from wearing their branded clothes and giving others a complex. In fact, in that very institution where it started, there was a color given for the hijab. Those are facts. So these are all manufactured things, totally manufactured.
So it is not only hijab, it is halal, azan, Hanuman Chalisa. What would you say to all that? Where are we headed?
We are headed for disaster. There's never been a controversy between halal and jhatka. If I want to eat halal, I'll eat halal. If I want to eat biryani with halal meat, I will eat it. Who are you to prevent me?
Azan, Hanuman Chalisa, use of loudspeakers, what would you say to that?
This has always been there. If there are areas where it is particularly loud, have a discussion and do it through dialogue so that people are not inconvenienced. But you don't want to do that. Nah, dialogue is absolutely anathema to the BJP RSS agenda. Only the bulldozer is there. There's no dialogue, there's no debate, there's no discussion, there's no dissent. Kuch kaho, face the bulldozer, man.
Let me take you beyond politics. If women in Air India are wearing saris today, it is thanks to you. You're fairly broad-minded. So why did you start the anti-midi skirt protest?
First of all, Kumkum, there's nothing like a mini skirt in any uniform in those days, although it was the era of the mini skirt. We are talking about the 60s. It was at the airport. Air India staff in the head office in Bond Street or Air India crew on the Air India flights, they were all wearing saris. It was at Heathrow Airport where they had this most ridiculous rule that Air India girls working at the airport are not allowed to wear saris. I was working at the airport as airport staff. So when I joined, I was given a skirt and a coat and said, put this on. I said, why should I? I've got a beautiful sari which given to me by Air India. I'm going to wear that. I was what? I was maybe 20 years old. It's not that I was against skirts or anything. I mean, we all wore skirts, jeans, whatever was there now, off-duty hours.
Exactly. But you managed to have the rule changed.
Yeah, it was changed because they realized that what I was saying, was logical.
From playing a mermaid perched on Kapil Sibal's knee to
True.
losing your voice to Air India to politics. Tell me everything.
Kumkum, please excuse me. I mean, that's a different journey and that's a different time and that's a different story. So maybe another time.
Brinda Karat, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. And thank you for being here with us, though you did dodge a few questions.
Thank you so much for this discussion, Kumkum.